this is May and welcome back to my channel for a brand new speed build. So today I'm building a Gothic Vampire Manor in Forgotten Hollow for my save file using the new Life and Death pack among other packs. I'll have all the info about the build listed in the description as always, and yeah, I'm just very excited to be sharing this darker build with you all, and I do have an occult household that I will be talking about today. And if you've been on the channel here before, then you might know that I rarely make occult sims or play with them, but I have to say I had quite a lot of fun making the sims for today's build. There's going to be vampires and also a ghost, and I will of course get more into that in just a bit. But first I'd like to thank the EA Creator Network for providing me with the Life and Death expansion pack. I was so lucky to be given the early access this time, and I did make a Life and Death and base game only build that is up on my channel if you haven't checked it out already, and maybe you want to do that after this video. I also want to take a moment to share that I do have a creator code if you're planning on getting the new expansion pack or any Sims 4 packs in general. Promo code HoneyMay can be used at checkout in the EA app, and it does directly support me with a percentage of your purchase, which also means less money to EA and more money to your favorite creators. I also want to clarify that it is not a discount code, but as mentioned, it does support me and it does not go unnoticed at all. So thank you if you want to use my code or you have previously used it, and thank you to EA once again. And if you already have the new Life and Death expansion pack, do let me know what your new favorite things are from the pack in the comments down below. So as mentioned, I'm using lots of the new items from that pack for this build. I was originally planning on doing another build in Ravenwood, the new world coming with the pack, but I feel like the architecture style there is a bit more difficult to do personally, so instead I turned to look at the other existing occult worlds that we have in The Sims 4, and I landed on Forgotten Hollow, the world that came with the vampires game pack. It is one of the smallest worlds in the game, if I'm not mistaken. It has only like 5 lots, which is very little for a world. But yeah, I know that Halloween is over already, so I'm a bit late with this darker spooky build, but I wanted to give it a try regardless, and we just got the Life and Death pack. Honestly, I would have wanted this pack to have been released earlier in October, so we would have gotten more time to play with it before Halloween, just, you know, for the vibe of the season. It would have been great for everyone's spooky builds. And another reason why I decided to build here is because I came up with a storyline for the household living here. So I did make the Sims first and then the build afterwards. I feel like it has become a lot easier for me to have the Sims ready before I build, because I have a clearer vision of what I want to make and who I'm making the house for. And I do have to point out, the shape of this house is looking familiar to you. It is because I actually took inspiration from the Addams Family House for the exterior shape of the home. So it has some of this, you know, same details. The tower, for example, in the middle here, and the flat roof on the top, and the sunroom on the right hand side of the build. I didn't have a reference photo for the back of the build, so I just took some creative liberty with that, and I do think it ends up looking good regardless. This house did turn out bigger than anticipated. It's got lots of spacious rooms, and I used all 3 floors despite just having 3 Sims living here. I wanted the exterior to look a bit more run down and old, so I've added in these cracks in the brick walls, a few stains here and there. There are some vines running up the walls, and we got these brand new holes in the roof, which it comes with the Life and Death pack, of course. I just had to use those. I really like the look of those, and you can even add them indoors on the floor to make a build look even more run down. And I have to be honest, it did take me a moment to figure out the landscaping, like which trees to use and where to put them, and also just what to do with the backyard in general and the front as well. So I feel like I went quite simple with both the back and front of the house. There's just like a bench and some plants in the front, and then I do use some of the new graves in the back, along with this picnic blanket and a picnic basket. I thought that would be kind of like a romantic idea for this household in particular. So I think I'll go over to telling you about the Sims living here. So we do have three Sims, as mentioned. We got Cassus Bathory, who is an adult vampire. We've got Rowena Grimrose, who is a ghost, and then we have a teen vampire named Desdemona Bathory. So I think I'll start off with Cassius because that's the sim I thought of and made first. So as mentioned, Cassus is a vampire, and I feel like the life and death created sim assets and clothes just work really well for vampires and other types of occults as well. And I have to be honest, I was pleasantly surprised by the cast for this pack. I love the attention to detail and upgraded textures the Sims team has been giving us for the packs over the last 2-3 years now, and the cast for this pack is no exception. I quite like the hairs as well. They're more on the eccentric side, if you will, and I imagine those would look really cool on specific Sims with like specific personalities. So I don't think they're too versatile in a way. Same goes for the clothing, to be honest. But I'll show you a picture of Cassius on the screen here so you can see how he turned out and what new items I've used for him. So he has this two-toned hair that I love, kind of like a slicked back hairstyle. He has this cool new beard with a mustache, and he has the new ear tunnel plugs as well, which I was excited to see in this pack. The round sunglasses I've used for Cassis is actually from the For Rent pack. I preferred those over the new rounded sunglasses from Life and Death. Actually, they just have like a cleaner look to them, which I like. And something I thought would be a nice touch of detail to this character is the long scar running down his face. And this is a skin detail from the Werewolves pack, so I imagine he'd probably been in a fight that had left him with a scar, whether it be with, from an actual werewolf or another vampire. So I hope you like his look as well. And majority of his outfits consist of the new clothes. I'm not able to show everything on the screen here for you all, but I can probably upload this household to the gallery if you would like to check them out. And yeah, I would imagine Cassius has been a vampire for quite some time, but he has only recently moved to Forgotten Hollow to settle down in this house I'm currently building and work his way up in the new Undertaker career coming with the Life and Death pack. So if you don't know, the Undertaker career has two branches, one of which focuses on like funeral arranging, and the other focuses more on being a mortician. So this is not an active career, unfortunately. However, it would have been cool to like actually plan and execute funerals, for example, but yeah, this time it is the standard rabbit hole career, and you just have to level up your skills and stuff like that. There is another career coming with the pack though that is active, and you can basically play as the Grim Reaper. Like this is a Reaper career, and I think that is a unique and even fun career to be added to The Sims. But yeah, Cassius here is in the funeral industry or arranging branch of the Undertaker career, and because of that, I thought it would be fun to turn one of the rooms in the house into his office. So he has like a big desk with folders, papers, and he can have some clients over to prepare the funerals, and I've added like a flower wreath and other things that are kind of more like examples of what can be added to the funeral. And it won't be functional in that sense, of course, but I thought it was a nice touch to the storyline and a bit more realistic in that sense. Another thing that I want to mention for Cassus is that he has one of the new traits coming with the pack, which is the Macabre trait. He is more of a darker sim, so he doesn't react badly to grim things happening in life, and he is also quite the charmer, so I gave him the romantic trait. And he is also a big music lover. He loves playing the piano, for example, so you'll definitely find a piano in this house. I added it downstairs in the library, and since he is a vampire, I thought it was only appropriate to add one of the vampire aspirations. I also did cheat his vampire status, if I can call it that. I'm not too sure what to call it. So I added some perks for him, and one perk I definitely wanted for him was the sun resistance one, since he has to work outside a lot and also during daytime. And as I mentioned, Cassus moved to this house not that long ago, but once he did, he found out that someone was already residing here, haunting the house. And that brings us over to Rowena Grimrose, the ghost living here. You can see a photo of her here on the screen. She also uses a lot of the new Life and Death clothing. I absolutely love this short style here from the pack, and it looks really good on Rowena as well. I'm quite pleased with how she turned out. I didn't do too much for the rest of her outfits, seeing as she is a ghost and I feel like they would have their standard outfits, you know. But one thing I did figure out while making her is that there are ghost specific outfits from Life and Death. So I just had to add this beautiful like full body outfit to her formal and party wear, and it has like this veil kind of covering her face, and the outfit just looks really old, which I love for a ghost like Rowena, because I imagine she passed away a long time ago, maybe like 100 years ago, in this very house from a broken heart, which can actually happen if you have the Lovestruck expansion pack. So Rowena died as a young adult. She was very much in love with this maybe like sophisticated, wealthy man, and for some reason he ended things with her, which led her to her tragic demise. And you will probably notice that there is a baby crib in her room, which is on the 3rd floor of this house, and I think maybe she was expecting a baby at the time of her death. So it is quite the tragic story that I came up with for her. But on the brighter side, after many years of haunting this house and its other residents following Rowena's death, is that Cassus and Rowena, they found each other and they fell in love. And it is in some way a bit poetic, if you will, that they're both stuck in these endless cycles of life, like Cassus being a vampire and Rowena a ghost, and after all this time that they've found each other. So I did decorate some of the inside of the house over on Twitch, where I stream weekly, and after I had told the household's story, one of the viewers asked me if Cassus wanted to bring Rowena back to life, which you can in The Sims if you'd like to with the dish of ambrosia, and I thought that was an interesting idea, even a dilemma, if you will. So that could be interesting for all of you to decide if you want to play with this household in the save file once it is released. Like, does Cassus want to bring Rowena back to life as a human, or maybe he wants to bring her back to life and then turn her into a vampire? Or are they simply happy with the way things are being a vampire and a ghost? So that will be up to you to decide, of course. So Rowena's traits are love bug, music lover, and bookworm, if I'm not totally mistaken, and she's into gardening as well. I added some plants out front of the house, like these mosquito traps, but we also do have a small sunroom, which is decorated as an indoors greenhouse. There isn't too much space to plant stuff in there. It was more meant to be more like decorative actually, but you can of course grow some flowers, herbs or veggies, anything like that in there if you want to, in like the small garden pots. There's also a lot of bookshelves throughout the house, so lots of books for her to read, and I wanted her bedroom on the 3rd floor to look more run down and unkept. So there's this like big hole in the floor, there's cobwebs everywhere, and there's some like scratches on the walls and the doors, just to give the room a bit of an older feeling as well. And I did mention that there are some graves in the backyard. I would imagine one of them belongs to Rowena, and another probably belongs to another family member who has transitioned into the other spiritual world or netherworld, perhaps. I'm not too sure what to call, or like what it's called in The Sims. At least Rowena is here because she has some unfinished business, and that does remind me that ghosts actually have a skill tree now. And I think this is a feature exclusive to the new pack. I'm actually not too sure, but either way, there's a couple of skills or perks you can add to your ghost, and there seems like there is like the good ghost perks and then the more like evil ghost perks, so you can decide if you want your ghost to be good or bad. And I think I went for more of the perks on the good side for Rowena, but it could be fun. It could be a fun idea to do the evil route for another ghost sim in the future. We still have one sim left though, and that is Desdemona, who is a teen vampire. Originally, I only planned to have Cassus and Rowena live here, but then I got a bit inspired by the Cullen family from Twilight actually, and especially Carlisle and how he has adopted other vampires into his family, and that's kind of like what I've done here as well. So Desdemona was turned into a vampire when she was a teen, and eventually Cassus came across her, and to keep her on track, to keep her safe, he decided to bring her into his family as his adopted daughter. And the thing with vampires and The Sims 4 though is that the vampire kids will eventually age up into a young adult, at least, and then the aging kind of stops there, if I'm not mistaken. I just thought Desdemona was a nice addition to this household. It adds another layer to their dynamic, for sure. And I was originally planning on adding even more vampire kids, but I stuck with the minimalism this time. But who knows, you could always add more vampire kids if you'd like to. And Desdemona has the big vampire family aspiration, so maybe she'd one day adopt some vampires of her own. And Desdemona is also quite dark in her outfit style as well. I found this really cute hairstyle from the Cottage Living pack. It's like a medium length hair with a fringe and a bow in the back, and it's just, I think it suited her face really well. And Desdemona has her own bedroom, of course, which you can find on the second floor. It's quite simple and dark color-wise. I did add a picture wall though. You'll actually see quite a few of those in this house actually. I really enjoy doing photo walls for these older looking Gothic or Victorian houses. It feels very realistic. And I've also used the medium wall height for all the floors, and it feels kind of empty without pictures on the walls, so I feel the need to add some things, you know. Yeah, I'm quite satisfied with how this build turned out, and the interior fits quite well for the theme and the Sims, if I can say so myself. And I used the brand new kitchen set from Life and Death, the new bathroom set, all the bookshelves are new, the couches as well. There's like lots of the new stuff mixed in with some other packs in this house. I feel like I redid the downstairs floor plan quite a few times. I couldn't quite do it in a way that made sense in the beginning, but in the end I made this hallway that go straight through the house from the entry door to the back, like the patio doors, with the stairs on the side. So it was more spacious and it was easier to dedicate one door to each room instead of having to use wall space in another room for the door. That makes sense. But anyway, I ended up with lots of rooms, as mentioned earlier, and they're all closed off as well, so no open concepts here. And it wasn't really a thing back in the day anyway for these older homes, or at least that's what I've seen on home renovation shows and whatnot. So in this house, we have got a kitchen, dining room, a laundry room. There are 4 bathrooms divided amongst like the different floors. There's a library, a sunroom or indoors greenhouse. There is the living room. We got 3 bedrooms, one for each of the Sims. Then there's an art room for Desdemona on the second floor because she's into art. And the office for Cassius' career. Then on the 3rd floor there is another library-like room with the gemology table, along with Rowena's bedroom as mentioned earlier. And I wasn't too sure what to do with all of the rooms in the beginning because it was quite overwhelming. And again, I didn't think I would have so much space on the inside of this, which honestly it happens way too often for me. But I think I figured it out. I just had to make some rooms based on what interests and careers the Sims living here have, like painting, music, being in the Undertaker career, and so on. Yeah, I think their whole dynamic and storylines are interesting, and I hope you think so too. And again, the occults aren't really my cup of tea, but for some reason, The Life and Death pack really made me want to explore more of the occults, and hopefully I'll be back with another build for more occults in the near future. Another small occult world is the Realm of Magic one, Glimmerberg. I built this like forest diner or cafe there not that long ago, but I've never done a home there before. I mean, if I remember correctly, you don't really see a lot of houses in that area anyway, so you could possibly tweak the architecture style without it looking too off with the rest of the environment. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. And it would be fun to do more of a colorful, magical build, and I don't think I've ever done one of those before. And I'm also getting real close to finishing up some builds I've been working on for weeks, maybe even months. The large builds just take so much longer for me to do these days, and I'm honestly surprised I got together today's build so quickly because I did start it earlier this week, perhaps on Wednesday, if I remember correctly. And yeah, I'm doing this multiple houses on one lot in Oasis Springs for Dina and Katrina Caliente. So we got one house for them. It's like this Adobe inspired house. I mean, all of them are. Then there is a smaller house for Don Lothario, and then a last house for an original family that I've made. And I just got the last house left, and I hope I'll be able to finish it relatively quickly now that I got Tool Mod and Better Build By updated, because I need to adjust a couple of things. I just feel like it's quite difficult to build without these mods. I'm usually able to use those for building, but when I had early access to Life and Death, the pack is actually a separate version with only that pack in base game. And we're advised not to use mods, of course, because they would be conflicting with the version of the game, and you're not able to use any kind of shader like reshade or g-shade, so the graphics look a bit bland to me. Because regularly I do use Dove by Kindle Spice, I feel like I often get that question, and of course I'm happy to share. I'm not gatekeeping anything. And yeah, I think this is my favorite preset. I use it for like so many years now, actually. And speaking of reshade, I usually have the MXAO setting on when I'm recording my building footage. So the MXAO, if you're not familiar with it, it's like these darker shadows that just adds something extra to the graphics. And personally, I love using that for photos especially, but it might be too much for the video part, not to mention that setting, it really makes my PC heat up. So I've been thinking if I should stop using that for my videos. I'm not sure if any of you have a preference regarding that, if you've been here before and you've watched my previous speed builds, but do let me know what you think. I think it's kind of refreshing to build without it for once, so I am considering not using it for the speed builds anymore. And on another note, I did mention earlier that Forgotten Hollow, the world that we're building in, is quite small. I intend to make Vlad a new and improved house, of course, but I've been wondering if I should add a community lot of some sort to the world. It would be cool to do some sort of nightclub at an abandoned church or something like that. I did try to make a cemetery here a couple of weeks ago before the Life and Death pack, of course, but I wasn't able to make it look quite right. So maybe I should give it another shot with the new content, and I could just make it into a standard cemetery as well. That could work. So I'm just like weighing my options here. Like I've said before, I just have so many ideas for builds that I want to do, and there's just not enough hours in a day for me to do everything. And making a speed build isn't just about the actual building process either, because you have to do the editing of the footage, you have to do the voiceover, you have to take photos, edit those, make a thumbnail, and playtest the build and get the tray files. Like, there's so much you potentially have to do, and I can't lie, it is a lot sometimes, so I'm trying to just slowly but surely make my way through with everything, because honestly, I'm so into building sometimes. Like, I want to build all the time and not focusing on putting together a speed build. So that's definitely something that I have to work on, because sometimes, yeah, it's all about balance really, and sometimes I just, instead of finishing a build, I just start a new one, which is bad for me. because then it will take twice as long to get to the finish line. But yeah, I'm glad to finish today's build and to show it all to you. So I'm currently just working on some of the last rooms here. I think I've just got the bedrooms and the third floor gemology room left. I do believe I forgot to mention it earlier, but all of the wallpapers and the brick walls that I'm using for today's build are from the new pack. I think they did really well with those. I love the different patterns and all. I especially love the crow wallpaper. I think I ended up not using it for this house, but it is really nice. And there's this wallpaper with like moths or something on it, which is also really nice. And yeah, all of the rooms are very dark, lots of blacks and dark browns with a few pops of colors here and there to try and brighten up the space a bit, whether it be through rugs or paintings or an armchair. I did at least put in enough lights here so it won't be too dark for you to play in this house. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty much all about this household and build, so I hope you enjoyed listening to it all. And other than that, I'm currently finishing up the build here and will soon head into the screenshots. So that's basically it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content in the future. If you want to be notified of when I upload a video next, make sure to click the bell icon too. This build is playtested and up on my gallery. My ID is honeymaysims, or you can find me with the hashtag honeymaysims as well. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me today as we build this Gothic vampire house, and I can't wait to talk to you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye!